Does everyone on the stage agree with the concept of democracy? The idea that what we have now is a functioning democracy, but that we just need to fix it? Or do we have any rebels up here who are like, nah, I don't buy it?
That would be me.
I want to hear. That's what I
We're
want to
not
hear.
a democracy. We're literally a republic.
Okay, so we're a republic, absolutely. But
we push it on around the world, but it's not something we actually have.
Well, this is not a democratic system. No. I mean, if you think about democracy, it's supposed to be governance by the people, rule by the people, right? Most of us don't even participate in our own governance, right? And there's very little mechanism to actually participate in our own governance. That's why, you know, in Black Lives Matter, you mentioned I was the fourth one who is not endorsing Bernie Sanders. That doesn't mean I'm endorsing Hillary Clinton. I don't like her, right? I don't like the one whose name shall not be spoken. I can't stand him, right? But the reason is because this system was set up intentionally to keep us oppressed, and we can't completely entrust the government structure to free us, right? And so I'm voting. I'm still going to vote. I'm just not endorsing, right? I'm still going to vote.
Right.
But I know that in a way that's kind of an exercise, right? And the way that we actually get free is by recognizing that moving ourselves forward has always had to be a coupling of inside participation. We'll leave that to y'all. And outside agitation. Yeah. And we've abandoned outside agitation. So we need people to recognize that we need your bodies in the street, right?
Well, it's a Frederick Douglass moment, too, I think, that we're having. Because, you know, Brother Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a struggle. It never has and never will.
Right.
And that is a constant truth. That, and I do agree with the doctor that you do need folks on the inside. And I would encourage some of the activists in this room, people who never dreamed. I mean, you think that as a daughter of a single mother, you know, even though my parents got married, they got divorced young, and 95% of my life I grew up in a single parent home, but I didn't dream that I would ever be an elected official, but I had community around me and I had people who believed in me. But it was really one of the most profound questions I've ever been asked in my life. It came from a high school student, and he said to me, if your mother had not died, do you think you would be where you are today? And I had to say, no. Right. Because it is through the human struggle. You know, diamonds come through pressure, baby. And sometimes we resist the pressure. But it is because, you know, it's what the doctor said. Yeah, our ancestors didn't sit around and say, free us. They said, oh, no, we're going to fight this. And African Americans, newsflash, were not freed by benevolent white folks.
That's right.
We were freed because we challenged the system. And when people talk about the challenge, whether it's looking at what happened to our Native American sisters and brothers whose land was stolen, that's a whole nother lecture, you know, or just being in America where racism and sexism and isms predominate, but we don't want to tell the truth about our history because we're so afraid. We got to take the bitter with the sweet. But we are, you know, a pastor said to me, he said, the struggle is forever, so we are forever in the struggle. It is never ending. Every generation is charged with advancing humanity and justice and power and beauty for the next generation. And so I want some of you out there to dream that maybe you might run for office someday or be the chief of staff or be the communications director. Because if you don't have people with a consciousness at the table, things don't happen. And some folks get caught up. I was invited, girl. I'm in the room. I can't wait. No, it's not being, you know, it should matter that you are in the room when you get there. You know, not just to be somebody that sits around. And so what the Congresswoman and I do, I'm proud of this work because you need rebels with causes in those daggone rooms. For sure. You do. But at the same time, I don't want us to give up on a nation that did make the impossible possible. Yeah, the founding fathers were racist, they were sexist, the first 9 presidents owned slaves, but they did challenge Great Britain. We became the United States of America, making the possible impossible. Our ancestors fought the fight to be free and to be treated like human beings, and we still fight that fight in the 21st century, but make the impossible possible. Women stood up against a system that said, you can't vote, you're a second-class citizen, you're just an extension of a child. They were beaten, they were force-fed, they were called crazy, but they continued to fight to make the impossible possible. So the question becomes, what are we going to do about the cause? We can wax poetic about all of our great foremothers and foremothers who did the daggone thing, but now the question is on us. What are we going to do for the cause? There's two